Hey guys, Accessory here with a multi review. This time I'll be reading the Change Heroes Avataro Sentai DonBrothers from the series of the same title. These are small opposable figures of our main 5 rangers, Don Momotaro, Saru Brother, Oni Sister, Inu Brother, and Kiji Brother, 3 of which each include an accessory. So, let's get started. First up we have the Red Ranger, Don Momotaro. Now I briefly showed this guy in my review of Don Zenkai, where I showed you can ride on and you ride on, but here I'll take a look at him in more detail. So starting with the head, all of the Don brothers have visors that look like sunglasses, as we can see here. And then, for him here, he has this headband, which has some white in the front but isn't painted in the back, and then it has this pink peach symbol in the front, since Momotaro is the peach boy. He also has a samurai-style chonmage, or top knot, which ends in this bit, which looks like an Avataro gear. We have the body, which is designed to look like he's wearing a jacket or vest of some kind. We got a couple of Don Brothers symbols on here and here. These shoulder pads. Some protectors on his elbow area, or I guess on his forearms. Then on his waist we have the belt and the DonBrothers buckle. And the pants area, which comes down to these knee pads there, and the feet. And it's pretty plain on the back. Articulation wise, you got a rotation joint at the neck, as well as an up and down, or a kind of up down swivel joint for the head. Shoulders can rotate around full 360 degrees, as well as go in at pretty far. Though interestingly, they don't really move much higher than this, which makes it interesting that the shoulder pads even move at all. It does have an extension joint there, though you can't really do much with it. A bicep swivel, some joint elbows, and ball joint wrists. Waist swivel. Ball joint at the hips. Thigh swivel. Single joint knees, and ball joint ankles, and well, thankfully, if any of if either of his feet pop off, they can be popped back on rather easily. And even has this little cut for, a pretty nice inwards kind of ankle pivot. Accessory-wise, he includes a Don Blaster, give it a little focus, you can see right there. Pretty well molded in all red, though it is a little hollow on the back. And you can simply hold it in either of his hands by placing it in like so. Next we have Saru Brother, who is the first example of how this Sentai is pretty unorthodox compared to past Sentai. So for him, instead of having a pretty typical slim human body, instead his is more muscular and ape-like. So I've got the head here, has some more rounded sunglasses. Of him, he has a smaller golden peach symbol, and you can tell that's more of a monkey face underneath it. Again, at the buy-in, while he does have that same kind of vest jacket thing going on, you also see texture to show that he's quite furry on his arms, and has some molded on abs in the torso area. Even going down to legs and feet, you can tell he is quite buff and muscular, and on the back, something that is a detail on even in the show is that he has a red butt, because he is based on the kind of monkey that has a red posterior. Now for his articulation, got the same kind of articulation in the head as with Don Momotaro. Again, you can get that rotation at the arms. You swivel. Fortunately, the elbow joint only goes that far. It does still have a ball joint at the wrist. Got the waist, hips, thigh. Knees only go down that far, and then ball joints at the ankle. As you will find out, the different body types really do have quite an effect on the articulation of these figures. But for what it's worth, they still are somewhat posable. Next, we have Oni's sister, who is the only girl on the team. Now, for her, she has a pretty humanoid body type, with just a few notable details. So for her, she's got some slightly more pointed sunglasses, and Oni are a kind of Japanese yokai, most closely equated to Western ogres. So she has a pair of horns here, as well as a kind of monstrous jawline. Again, she has a golden peach symbol, and she has some unique shoulder pads with some spikes on them. Pretty slim frame, and of course, being a girl, she has a skirt. So for her articulation, again, same kind of neck joint. And we got movement at shoulders, and in her case, it seems, a bit more fitting because it actually can move this far up to where the shoulders moving out of the way is helpful. Again, they have that bicep swivel. Single jointed elbows, wrist swivel, waist joint, and the skirt is actually divided into 4 segment pieces that move freely to allow for some pretty good articulation of the legs. Again, you have a movement at the hip, thigh swivel, a pretty deep knee bend, and then some ball joint ankles. And for her accessory, she comes with this club, as Oni are typically depicted as wielding metal clubs. And so, she can hold it in one hand, like this. However, the handle is actually long enough that if you want to, you can move the arms in such a way as to have her holding it with 2 hands. Which is impressive for a figure with this kind of articulation. Next we have Inu Brother, who represents what I'd call one of the 2 extremes of the team. As you can tell, he's very small to the point of being defined as SD or super deformed. So for him you can tell that he's a dog, going off of the ears as well as the muzzle. Got some pretty large sunglasses as well as another golden symbol on the forehead. And for him, definitely has very SD kind of deformed proportions with these very skinny arms and legs that come into very large hands and feet. And that does definitely affect his articulation, as actually is perhaps the only member of the team to have a ball joint at the head, which is something. And it kind of makes up for lack of articulation elsewhere, as while you can move the shoulders around a little bit, he has no outwards movement of them. And the only other articulation on his arms is a wrist swivel. He does have a waist swivel, though it is kind of on a mushroom peg, so it only turns to certain points. You can tell he does have a tail here on the back. And then you can actually move the legs forward, though not back, because they're kind of blocking the back. And then a little bit of a ball joint at the feet. He also includes an accessory, which is this large ninja star with the DonBrothers symbol on it that he can simply hold by pegging it into his hands like so. And last but not least, we have Kiji Brother, who represents the other extreme of the team, being both very tall and very skinny. As you can tell, these are pretty weird proportions for a ranger. But it comes with start off with the head. We're going to see he has some nice kind of wing-like sunglasses. A little bit of a plumage here at the top. A beak for the mouthpiece. Once again, the golden peach there. Going down the body, yes, you can tell he really is quite skinny. And while the arms are pretty well proportioned to the body, the legs are a whole nother thing where they're nearly twice as long as the torso itself. He also has these quite large wings, which are quite nicely detailed, though one of them unfortunately has the copyright info on the back. Articulation-wise, again, articulation similar to the others, where it's a swivel and pivot. The wings are on these little ball joints, so they can move quite a lot. As joints at the shoulders, you can move the arms up and down. And they can't really move all the way around because of how the wings are blocking it, but you can move a decent amount. Got single joint elbows, as well as a bicep swivel. And wrist swivel. You got waist joint there. Ball joint hips, which actually serve as a substitute for a kind of thigh pivot. A very deep knee joint, which is almost to the point of being double jointed, as well as ball joint ankles. So again, quite unusual, but I guess that's what makes him quite unique. And there we go. Overall, this is a very unusual Sentai team, but I think that's what makes it stand out and has a bit of charm to it. With these figures, no two is a copy of one another, so each one is completely individual. Meaning it's not like you're buying the same figure multiple times, and I think that's definitely something that they were going for here. Now, these aren't, to the same level as something like RKF's or SH Figuarts, but they are nice as a little set of figures, and it's nice to be getting actual posable figures for Sentai instead of the typical soft vinyl. While there are some soft vinyls out for the DonBrothers, of course, there are also these, which I think are quite a bit better, because when it comes down to it, action figures are actually pretty rare for Super Sentai. So it's actually nice that we are now getting this, proper figure line that isn't like, is a kind of candy toy figures. These are actually like completely fully made articulated figures. And each one is quite nice. And as you see, you can actually get them into some nice poses, including even, tall and skinny over on the right there. So if you're a fan of any of these Rangers and you're looking for nice figures for them, I can definitely recommend picking up one of these. And in fact, if you want to get the whole thing, there is a set that includes all 5 figures, so you can just buy them on one batch. Next time, I'll be reviewing Avataro Gear Set 01. So, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you're new and would like to see more, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. And for now, this is Kero50, riding off.